Okay, so the director of the upcoming Naruto live action film just recently said something in an interview about the Naruto live action that honestly I'm not sure how to feel about, because it's definitely giving insight into where this film is going to go, what this film is going to be like. And as far as it being, you know, a one-to-one of the source material, the more we hear about this thing, the more it feels like, I mean, well, you know what, we'll get into it in a sec, because there's just quite a bit to say after reading this whole thing. We also got an update from the creator of Bleach regarding the finale, and some pretty good news there. The finale of the 1,000-Year Blood War anime. We got some very surprising, shocking, where the heck did this come from, One Piece, I guess you would say anime news. I'm still right now in shock. Like, as you can see, I'm just like, what do I say? And some concrete information regarding a certain series coming to an end, which also might indicate another series is getting ready to rev up, something that we've all been waiting for. And yeah, so without further ado, let's jump into another exciting episode of Forever News. Let's do this thing, shall we? And before we continue, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell to get all notifications. I got you covered on the world of anime and manga. Hit them buttons, subscribe, hit the bell, check the channel frequently for new uploads. We drop new shorts all the time, we drop new videos, we got all sorts of stuff. Hit them buttons. Okay, people, so first story on the docket, we got a massive update for the upcoming Naruto live action film. And honestly, the more I hear about this thing, the more I feel like this movie that is incoming is already indicating that it's probably not going to be a one-to-one of the source material. Honestly, when you really think about it, even if they did a trilogy series of this thing, how do you fit basically 130 some odd episodes, because that's the canonical stuff of part 1 of Naruto, right? Like, there's 134 episodes until the end of Naruto versus Sasuke. How do you fit that? And of course, you know, there's some fillers in between or whatnot, so we'll just say 130. How do you fit 130 episodes into 3 films, maybe even 4 films? And, you know, of course, keeping people's interest, because after a certain point, people are gonna be like, yo, let's get to Shippuden already, right? Like, so what, you do 3 films for part 1, then 3 films for Shippuden? Like, where do we go with this thing? So obviously they're going to have to make some changes in order to adapt this thing into a theatrical experience, and of course to kind of fit for runtime and things like that, because realistically, let's just say this first film, right, just the first film alone, how much can they really do? Honestly, it could possibly go anywhere from, of course, the beginning of the series to the end of Chunin exams, but that would be a lot of content and a lot of corners cut in order to make all of that kind of fit into, 2 hours, maybe 2.5 at max hours of film, you know what I'm saying? So you gotta kind of condense things down, and essentially it probably wouldn't work. So we're probably looking at maybe the whole Zabuza arc, which that was about what, the first 24-25 episodes of OG Naruto. That's more doable to fit into a film. Even then, you still gotta cut massive things, but yeah, it could kind of get more straight to the point with that scenario. But I say all that to say that, again, even then, it's still going to have to make changes. On top of the fact that, let's not forget, in case you missed the video where I talked about it, they were speaking on the fact that for the casting call, they spoke on with the casting call that essentially the characters were going to be at age 16, right? So you got to take into account, one, the runtime is astronomical. Let's just say they do Zabuza arc for movie 1, Chunin exams for movie 2, and where do you go from that? Well, you're going to do the Tsunade arc and I guess the Sasuke retrieval all for movie 3. I mean, I guess that kind of could be done if they go that route, but still that would be all of OG Naruto part 1. But again, there's going to be drastic changes to a certain degree, right? Then again, the characters are going to be 16, another indication of change. The fact that Naruto was like 12 when the series began. So you got that change, you got 2 major indications of change. And then based on what the director of the upcoming Naruto film said, it's not necessarily completely indicating change, but it definitely seems like it's going to be more character driven, more character focused, and in particular more focused in truly on Naruto, where Naruto as a whole, right, the story, especially OG Naruto, maybe Shippuden you could say it went a little bit more into a whole different direction, but part 1 of Naruto, it tried its best to focus in on a majority of the characters. You got the rookie 9, you got all sorts of different things that they did with giving all of these characters spotlight. This right here seems like it's going to be more Naruto driven, truly about Naruto, his troubles, his sorrows, Let's read. In an interview with Rolling Stone, Destin Daniel Cretton talked about his approach to the Naruto live action. Honestly, it's not different than anything I've done before. The coolest thing that I identify with this character so much, and it's always been that way. When I met Kishimoto, the creator, that sense of connection only grew even stronger. I think his journey in the story we're going to tell is something very personal to me, not just from a cultural perspective, but also an emotional one. We're going to follow his path, his feelings of being an outcast, of carrying something inside him that's considered ugly, monstrous, or shameful. And little by little, he'll realize that it is precisely that part that makes him unique and gives him strength. Which, to start things off with, for starters, that sounds great, right? But it really kind of emphasizes more that it's going to be focusing in on a character-centric type of story of Naruto's feelings, his, hero's journey, but just truly more about Naruto. That's what I get from that, of like, his inner turmoil. Because for the most part, while yeah, we had flashbacks all over the place of Naruto, the infamous swing set that they're probably gonna, oh my god, they gotta make a joke. You know how you do theatrical cinematic jokes and whatnot? There has to be a joke of the swing set, and somebody make a joke of that. Please incorporate the swing set thing into the script. Or maybe not, because it is a sad thing. I don't know. It's up to you. The park scene in there or not. But regardless of what, again, it's kind of focusing in on Naruto's emotions. And honestly, Naruto, while some of that definitely affected him being an outcast from the village, and that was a core element of it, I always felt like Naruto was never really stopped by that. You know what I'm saying? That was never really a major, like, yeah, it bothered him, but it wasn't something, especially when we get to the current, when Naruto actually begins, he's just kind of like, screw you guys, I'm gonna be a little rebel, and maybe, yeah, y'all acknowledge me, and I want the village to acknowledge me, but at the end of the day, he never let it get him down, and I guess that's a core element as well of what the director is saying. Honestly, it just genuinely feels like they're gonna take the approach of, since there's so much material to adapt, and you only got so much time, focusing in more on Naruto, which will be a shame for certain characters not getting the spotlight or whatnot. They may have to even cut some characters out. There's just so much to do to make sure that this thing actually goes accordingly, and I'm not necessarily mad at that or whatnot, but yeah, I guess I really, really want to know, for you watching, people out there right now, how would you feel about the Naruto movie kind of more so only or primarily just emphasizing on Naruto's struggles, Naruto overcoming, everybody that hated him for having Kurama, all of that stuff being basically the primary focus of it, and not necessarily like, because again, in the series, you focus in on Zabuza and Haku's struggles, you focus in on Naruto understanding their problems and whatnot. Seems like it's going to be more so about Naruto's problems and Naruto's feelings and everything that Naruto had to go through. That's what I get from reading that. Again, it's just a blurb, so there's more to come and much more that's going to be shown over time, but it does feel like this Naruto live action won't be a one-to-one. Like I said, you got the aging up of the cast from the beginning from 12 to 16. You got this little synopsis right here that is giving us an insight that is going to be primarily like a Naruto thing. Like, there won't even be enough time for the whole Naruto and Sasuke rivalry to truly shine if you really think about it. And yeah, your overall thoughts and expectations for the film based on everything that we know thus far. Thankfully, Kishimoto was involved, so even if the vision is slightly different than what we originally got, Kishimoto, I'm sure, will make sure that this thing goes accordingly to the best possible product that is still somewhat a matching mirror of his original story and the original vision that he had and that what he wanted to tell. Either way, shout outs to Masashi Kishimoto, shout outs to Naruto, 150%, no matter, even if the thing gets bad reviews and it starts to look horrible, we're watching this thing. We're gonna watch it and we're gonna figure out how we feel after the experience is done. Moving forward, we got a massive update from the creator of Bleach, Tite Kubo, regarding Bleach's 1,000-year Blood Wars final core, and we're in better hands than ever because, in case you don't know, when anime is being created, there's oftentimes the whole work routine and concept that essentially a lot of times, most times, the episodes are still being developed the week of, sometimes even the day of, that they're supposed to be handed into the studios that are going to air them on TV in Japan and all that stuff. Like, they work on these things sometimes to the last second. They basically have to sometimes pry the episodes out of the animators' hands because it's just so much that they, are constantly working. But it seems as though this thing is ready to go. the Bleach 1000 Blood War Final Core, it seems as though is like maybe there'll be some polishing, you know, maybe there'll be some things that they'll look at, like last minute additions possibly or whatnot. But for the most part, based on what Kubo's comment on his club outside says, he finished watching the final. Time for bed. Finished watching the final. You gotta assume he's talking about he finished watching the final episode of the 1000 Blood War. Maybe the studio allowed him to get access to this thing early on, so essentially he got like a massive treat and a spoiler in a way on how the Bleach 1000 Blood War is going to go. And that is just such an indication of we are in for something very special, something very great. This is going to be a very memorable experience, to say the least, because if he already was able to get access to that, if that's what he's referring to, he could have been talking about, you know, like some football, aka soccer. Like, he could have been talking about that as well, I'm just saying. And let me say soccer because I know America, all that stuff, whatever. But yeah, he could have been talking about that. And then time for bed. Yeah. Everybody gotta get their sleep once in a while, right? But yeah, honestly, hearing this is just fantastic news. Like, there's nothing more to be said other than that. Bleach's 1000-Year Blood War, if it is already done and ready to go, like I said, sometimes episodes are still like, sometimes the episodes aren't even to the complete vision of the studio when they're handing it in. Like, that's how serious this thing gets. That sometimes it's like, we ran out of time, just give them what we have. So to be in advance before the first episode even airs in Japan, have it already done to the finale, that means that there's not going to be any hiccups. What we get is going to be the best possible capabilities of Studio Pierrot and, you know, Tite Kubo's involvement and all of that stuff. I mean, Tite Kubo is just like, yo, he's him, you know what I'm saying? Shout outs to Tite Kubo. I'm so sick of people coming at me over the name thing. Tite, Tight. How about we just call him T Kubo? You want to just go with T? We'll just call him T from now on. Like, if that works. Either way, yeah, Bleach 1000 Blood War Final Core in very good hands, and get your rest, Kubo. Moving forward, this right here was completely shocking. I was beyond surprised to see it. I'm still kind of like, where did this come from? But in a good way. I'm not even going to be mad at it. I'm not going to talk crap. Honestly, I think that this is such a treat, and this was such a great idea. Whoever came up with this, I think One Piece fans, like, of all the things that we get from One Piece, right? Because let's be honest. If we can't keep it a buck, then we're wasting our time. Keep it a buck all the way, bro. At the end of the day, they have been remaking One Piece in so many different formats that is the same thing of, if you read the manga or you watch the anime, then you already know what's going to happen. Because you got the manga, you got the anime, you got the live action, you got the new remake anime that's incoming. There's so many ways to experience One Piece, and I'm sure there's like at least a couple other ones that I just didn't mention right now to experience this journey. But the announcement that we recently got, and the way they're doing this, that it's essentially just a really interesting concept, because we got Netflix announced with an official teaser trailer, Lego One Piece, that is coming September 29th. 1,000,000,000% every One Piece fan more than likely is going to at the very least check out an episode of this thing, because based on the trailer, it seems as though it's going through the One Piece journey, which is like, oh gosh, we're retelling what, let me finish, let me say what I gotta say, bruh. Because based on the trailer, like I said, it's going through the One Piece journey, but it's from Usopp's perspective. Essentially, Usopp is telling the tale. And remember, Usopp early on, I'm not talking about now Usopp, and even now Usopp is still a little bit of a, you know, he's a funny dude or whatnot, but Usopp early on, he used to tell some stories. And I mean, they would be based on factual things that actually happened, but it would be in variations. Like, some things might be slightly altered. A character might have said something differently. Like, it's just, basically, Usopp ain't a liar. It's just the way he would tell the story. Sometimes it would be to his benefit, but still straight facts. And even sometimes when people thought Usopp was lying, like prime example, in the very beginning of One Piece, and for those that don't know, homie said he had like 8,000 warriors. He had mad people behind his back to support him and ride for him or whatnot. People said, yo, you a liar, dog. You don't got none. You know what I'm saying? Come to find out, you get past Dressrosa Coliseum, you get past that point, homie got a whole bunch of people that will ride for him now. Now, the lie, or we'll call it manifestation, came to reality. So Usopp's stories that people said he's lying, look at him, he's a liar, actually, he was basically telling you what is going to happen. and people just looked at him sideways because they didn't understand how incredible this guy was about to be. So, you know, that's the serious take on it. That's the genuine heart-to-heart, honest take on it. But at the same time, this just looks like it's going to be so fun. This looks like it's going to be funny as heck from the trailer. Again, it's Lego stuff, but I ain't gonna lie, might have seen, what was it? Was it Lego Batman? I don't know. Seen some Lego animated thing at some given point. Can't really remember, but yeah, those things are usually funny, and this trailer looked phenomenal. I am so excited and pumped to see how they're gonna do this thing. I mean, the trailer says it all, that it's gonna just be a funny telling of One Piece's story, and because it's original, because it's not based on necessarily the source material per se, they can really take some liberties and do some really funny stuff. And if it's Usopp's telling of the story, then they can really go ham. And again, it's not, because I never liked that they called Usopp any type of liar or anything like that, because that's bullcrap. He's not a liar. He was literally a prognosticator, is basically what you'll say. Essentially, homie was ahead of the times, but the way they're gonna play it up, it's going to be for laughs. And this is something that, if you've never checked out One Piece, maybe you've been really interested, but you're just like, oh, come on, dude, there's just so much of it, like, really? Check this out. You may not have everything exactly the way things happen per se, or maybe it just hasn't happened yet, so it sounds like BS, but just trust me that this actually looks really entertaining. And if all else fails, you don't really want to read the manga, you don't want to watch the anime, you don't give a shit about the live action, you don't want to watch the One Piece anime remake when it comes out, you got One Piece Lego, and it looks like it's going to be fun. I think that this right here, casual people or people that don't care about One Piece could check it out. Hardcore One Piece fans can check it out, get a laugh, and kind of cross-reference things of like, well, that happened, but it happened this way, or vice versa, whatever the case may be. Either way, massively excited for this. I think that this is going to be very, very fun. Moving forward, massive news, and this right here is going to be very much so indicating something that we've been waiting for, but it's also saddening news, and I don't want to brush past that either, because in case you don't remember, a few weeks back at this point, maybe a month, not sure, somewhere in that ballpark, we spoke of that there was rumor and word circulating, leaks, that Bleach was going to be returning with a brand new manga in Weekly Shonen Jump that is going to be basically regarding the Hell Arc sequel that Tite Kubo a long time ago did some type of, you know, Hell Arc one-shot chapter. The interest was insane. Everybody was massively hyped for this thing, and then they were like, alright, based on, again, word circulating, it was going to return, but when it returned, because we don't have a date or nothing like that, and again, it's still just word that is circulating, that Sakamoto Days was going to come to an end. So right there, you hear both those things. Sakamoto is like, okay, in unison, whenever Sakamoto announces that it's coming to an end, then we'll get the Bleach, you know, Hell Arc sequel manga. And we got word recently that Sakamoto Days by Yuto Suzuki is heading towards its climax starting next week in Weekly Shonen Jump issue number 35. Series will be getting the cover and lead color page in the issue. And I want to say that's this week's issue or next week. Either way, it's one of these issues. I want to say maybe it's next week, because I think 33 was last week. So yeah, next week, Sakamoto Days is heading towards its climax. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that the climax is, because they use the term climax very loosely. I'm going to just be real here. Like, it could anywhere range from a few weeks of a climax to Black Clover stretched out its climax from climax to ultra climax to super max climax to, yo bro, we busting. Either way, climax doesn't necessarily completely indicate, okay, this thing is ending here and now. That could mean, again, a timeout. However, considering the fact that word was circulating that it's going to happen, you know, somewhere possibly with the anniversary of, you know, Bleach here in August, that could very well be the case. Or it could be that we got just early word and early rumor. I don't feel like it's this one. Could be wrong, opinion based for the most part, but don't believe that it's that Kubo just started on this thing and word already circulated and that's how it got out and we're not going to get this manga for a long time. I think that that's far-fetched. I think we'll get this sooner than later, and if Sakamoto is already announcing his climax, again, it's kind of coinciding with exactly what we was told. Sakamoto is going to end with Bleach returning, and yeah, it's a mixed thing, because I'm not even gonna lie, while I didn't follow everything about Sakamoto, just being honest, wasn't really my bag after a while. I was like, alright, it looks awesome. The manga was better than the anime, 1000%. But yeah, in general, it kind of felt a little bit like they went in a different way. But again, Sakamoto was still another one of those series from the previous generation. While it didn't reach the heights and it was a different type of story than like a Black Clover or any of that, you know, generation that recently finished with Jujutsu Kaisen and all of that stuff, it still was one of those that came out. I want to say Sakamoto might have come out around like the COVID times or something like that. So it's a series from a while back that has still stood the test of time and is still around or whatnot. So seeing it come to an end, yeah, it is kind of a saddening thing. Is one more thing of like one more reminder that, yo, that time and that era is really done. And also it makes you look at Shonen Jump like, damn, yo, y'all running low on vets. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all running low on the veteran series. What do y'all got left that's been around for a while other than One Piece and Hunter x Hunter, which at the end of the day, they're both selling really well, very successful, and Hunter x Hunter looks like it's going to be sticking around a lot longer, and we're going to be getting it a lot more frequently now because Tagashi really got that thing in him, dog. He got that to keep it going. And of course, One Piece is going to go until Oda feels like stopping. So we still got those juggernauts. But then after Sakamoto, what are like the oldest series in the magazine? There's not much really there that's been around for a long time after Sakamoto goes. And yeah, we got the noobs, Kagurabachi, Ichi the Witch, that are, you know, fantastic stories or whatever. But I'm talking about series that been around a long time, that have that rep of like, yo, dog, we've been around a million years. This is starting to get a little bit crazy for Shonen Jump, and hopefully with series like Sakamoto ending, yeah, Bleach is coming, which that right there is gonna just change the game. I'm gonna just be honest with you. Like, hear me well. Bleach, Hell Arc manga, if this 100% happens, and it happens soon, or well, whenever it happens, regardless, this is going to change everything. This is going to be a massive difference in the magazine, the rotation. Gonna be covering that 1000%. I'm not even gonna front or lie, nothing like that. We talking that Bleach over here when it comes out. So yeah, it's like such a mixed feeling of Sakamoto coming to an end. But if being honest, let me be honest here. I'm more about the excitement that I have for Bleach's return than I am for Sakamoto coming to an end. Just being honest, nothing against Sakamoto, but that's, you know, it's Bleach, dog. Do you know like how long been riding with this thing, dog? You know what I'm saying? Again, no hate to Sakamoto though. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this whole thing regarding Sakamoto Days ending. Are you saddened? Are you excited for Bleach's return? I mean, again, if Sakamoto's ending, everything it's looking really, really good. And Shonen Jump, we're gonna be eating great. Bleach, final core of the anime, Hell Arc seemingly approaching. We're in great hands, and Shonen Jump, I think they understand very well. I think they get it that until you have the rookies that are really giving the numbers and doing things, like when Kagurabachi gets the anime and Ichi the Witch gets the anime, and if Kiyoshi stands around and blows up with an anime, something like that, until they're actually in position to support the magazine in a major, true way, the vets need to take over and make things happen. Like, and it's that time, and I think they're understanding that, and they're working their magic to make things happen. And here for it. Let's go. That's all I have for this one. I'm Tim. As always, people, have an awesome day. Peace in, and you guys just watched another episode of Whatever News. Have an awesome day. Peace in. Can you play the fool? Are you really pro? I just really wanna know, can you tell me? Got a couple of questions, so can you help me? When you gotta rush, I know I'll do it slowly. I just really wanna see if you know me.